Hello, folks. Hey, how is everyone doing? Just gonna wait a minute in case anyone else wants to show up, as I am doing this kind of on short notice. It's a Sunday night. I gotta go back to work tomorrow, so I figured I would have one last little fun wander through a cool game. Hello. Hey, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, so as you can tell, it's not Wednesday, and I think I did another one of these streams a week or two ago, but there was another cool wander around in a pretty landscape game that I ran across recently. It is this, Red Desert Render by Ian McClarty. And yeah, it seems cool. And I figured it seemed like the kind of thing that, much like the last stream that I did of the Places and Sketches series, seemed like a cool little thing to just kind of wander around. So yeah, you can get it on itch.io, ianmclarty.itch.io, Red Desert Render. And yeah, you can see some screenshots here. It's like just cool desert landscape sort of stuff. Discover the secrets hidden in a vast desert, take a hot bath, and maybe grow some pumpkins. This game is my response to the out-of-bounds adventures I had with some friends in Red Dead Redemption 2 online, with some other ideas thrown in. You can read about those adventures here. Pay $20 or more and receive a unique custom build. So yeah, this was what I did. So we're going to be playing build. Well, yeah, when I tab back over to it, we'll see it. But yeah. Yeah, it's available for Linux, Mac, and Windows. So yeah, let's give it a shot here. Whoop. Yeah, so this is Seed. The custom build that Ian sent me is Seed 2020, which is the amount that I paid. So yeah, and so theoretically, you could pay that amount and get this same build with this exact same world. But yeah, as you can see, this is basically like, I mean, if y'all know me, No Man's Sky has been my big, just kick back and relax game of the last few years, and this immediately struck me as like, oh, it's like a big desert planet from No Man's Sky. You know, like the sense of scale and the very far horizon and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's a very rough point of comparison. And yeah, I'm guessing that the random seed determines like the general shape of this landscape and maybe where some special interactions or opportunities or something are placed, but who knows really? Yeah, I don't. This game is made with Unity, obviously. I don't know if that presupposes much of anything about how it works or what it's got in store for us here, but yeah. Ian is a Linux user as well, if I recall. Cool. Yes, thanks. Welcome, everybody. And yeah, I do seem to be okay. So I can move around. I booted this up just to confirm that it was working and all that, but I can't. I don't know anything else about it. I also know that yeah, like that the pause screen has this little to-do list. So yeah, we can try and do those things. And yeah, I really like my little character here has like it kind of looks like a little glitch texture type thing. But it's like this colorful pixely thing. And maybe we'll be able to find an outfit and change that or something. Yeah, so yeah, like, it is sort of interesting that, you know, this was inspired by, there were some cool screenshots that I saw on Twitter a while back when people were actually doing this, of, they were using glitches to get out of bounds, out of the actual intended playable space of the world in Red Dead Redemption 2. And because that game is just this gigantic world with like a sumptuous visual thing going on, you know, made by like hundreds of people, uh, you know, it was still very cool and interesting looking to be out of bounds in that game. And so yeah, this is sort of a more focused thing that is just like trying to capture some of that, but also clearly doing its own thing. Yeah, I don't know what the deal with this. Yeah, I mean the projection is different front to back. Yeah, I really don't know. I do like just this little person here. It's just such a generic little meeple. Yeah. Yeah, I can jump. I don't seem to be sliding. I mean, that's something I'm spoiled on from No Man's Sky, is just being able to jetpack across this. But that wouldn't necessarily be very American Southwest cowboy exploration. So yeah, like this hillside has a lot of trees and stuff on it. And then down in the valley here, it feels a lot more hard scrabble, or just, you know, there's no trees or anything. Yeah, this is actually relatively lush for the desert. And yeah, I am moving pretty good. Like, I guess there's not a horse, or maybe there is, maybe there's a horse, but we certainly don't start with one. And yeah, I'm hearing like some good bird calls or something. I don't recognize these birds, but they have pretty different birds out in the southwest deserts here. The closest part of the country, I mean, I've driven through the American Southwest a couple of times in my life, and it is like every bit as beautiful as you might believe. Looking at, you know, old Western movies and stuff like that. But the part the part of the country that I've spent some real time in, that feels like this is Death Valley, out here in, you know, California. I mean, it's far away from the Bay Area where I am. But yeah, Death Valley is a fascinating place because it's this weird little pocket of low elevation, and the terrain is pretty dramatic. There are like mountains that have snow on them, even in the late spring. But then there's also, you get down in the valley itself, and there are like salt flats and stuff where it gets like up above 100 degrees, well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit sometimes. And there are rainstorms and stuff that come out of nowhere, and because there's so little topsoil on the hills, it can flash flood and stuff. So yeah, Death Valley is a really fascinating place. There's only a few places on Earth like it, I get the impression. And yeah, like it does definitely have this feeling where you'll be up on this mountain and looking out across and being like, it kind of destroys your sense of like scale, because, you know, you develop a sense of like how far, when you're looking off into the distance, you develop a sense of like how far away that is. You're like, oh, well, that's just across the bay. That's like 2.5 miles, I guess. And to get there, I would like take a train or get in a car or something. Whereas in Death Valley, looking out across the valley, it was like, I feel like I'm just on an alien planet here. And when I look out at the horizon, I'm seeing so far that like, I don't know if that's like 3 hours drive or 30 minutes or something. Yeah. Yeah, it is like a moonscape. It is definitely, yeah. And I love that about it. I remember coming back from one of the first WOD Wednesday streams I did was shortly after I got back from Death Valley in 2017. And I think I also did a No Man's Sky stream then, and I was just like, just flying around some barren worlds and stuff like that, and noting how similar it was in some cases. So yeah, this is interesting. So we've got kind of a little bowl here. And yeah, this is another thing about this kind of terrain, is that like, you know, I was watching my partner play some Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey recently. And we were playing, by the way, the Discovery Tour, which is really awesome. It's like the non-combat tourism mode that has like museum exhibits and a ton of like cool historical information. I highly recommend the Discovery Tour modes from those two games. They're basically freely available with the base game, and I think you can even buy them standalone in some cases. But oh no, the terminal window is Z fighting. I thought I had fixed that. That is a bummer. Dang. Oh yeah, right. There's also binoculars. Well, let me know if that Z fighting comes back. There was an NVIDIA setting that I learned about, an NVIDIA control panel setting I learned about, that is supposed to fix the OBS NVIDIA Linux Z-fighting issue, but that might not have worked, so maybe I have to research it further. Oh, look at this. There's a floating cube. Interesting. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, I can like... Alright, I am just flying up above the terrain here. This makes me think, like, is this like the center of the... Oh, God. Venture underground. Oh, yes. Heck yeah. Alright, this is totally intentional. Okay, so there's just like this succession of cubes. Is this an infinite succession of cubes? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect there, but yeah. Okay, yeah, and we are indeed getting further and further away from the terrain in world space. Very interesting. And yeah, like I can't actually move or anything. It looks like I'm kind of in a swimming mode here. Yeah, it actually looks like I might be nearing the bottom. The quote-unquote bottom of the world. And yeah, what is this? It's like water? Ooh, yeah, I'm underwater. Yeah, we're getting like a good Quake 1 style underwater warp distortion. Yeah, there hasn't really been much about this experience that's made me feel like, oh, it's dangerous here or something. You know, if there was even like creepy audio or something, I would probably be a lot more apprehensive, but as it is, it feels pretty gentle. All right, well, this is always the challenge with these kind of like huge expanses of terrain experiences. You have to walk, when you venture way out of bounds, you have to walk all the way back. I remember Serious Sam was one of the first games that like called my bluff on this. Like Serious Sam, the very first release of Serious Sam, that takes place in like an ancient Egyptian setting, like Temple of Karnak and stuff like that. And there's several points in that where you can just walk off into the distance and just keep going over like this endless expanse of desert. It's not an endless expanse of desert, but it is a very large expanse of desert, and you can just keep walking, and the playable level area that you came from just eventually just vanishes to a tiny speck on the horizon. And you're like, okay, well, I sure did come all the way out here. What do I do now? And the answer is that you walk all the way back the long way at totally normal speed. So, you know, I don't know what I was expecting. I did it entirely of my own volition just to see what would happen. And yeah. But yeah, it does look like we are far up above the world here. And I was interested in this like distant cliff kind of thing. You know, because it seems like there's like some undulations of the terrain, and that's sort of a valley down there. But then this feature here is a very, 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 very tall cliff face kind of thing. The kind that wouldn't be totally out of the place in No Man's Sky. Yeah, so like, how do I just get back into like a normal mode here? I just want to like continue exploring here. All right, I did venture underground. Okay, I can mute audio. I don't really want to mute the audio. The birds are fine. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if this is a bug or if this is just, yeah, like strafing left and right does not work as I would expect. Yeah. Oops, looks like I focused the, I'm using W and S go up and down respectively. And then A and D, which normally strafe when I'm on the ground, Yeah, and then like I can left or right click does the binoculars thing. Q and E don't seem to do anything. Oh, look at that. R. Okay, I used R. And I can go into a roll. And heck yeah, I can just roll down a hill. Oh yeah, and I shouldn't, yeah, like pressing spacebar, I don't think did anything, yeah. Yeah, so pressing spacebar while you're in this mode. However, rolling and going into ragdoll, well, not ragdoll, but going into ball mode. Okay. Yeah, so this definitely sets up an implicit goal of like get up to the top of this really steep cliff feature and just roll down it and just see how fast we can get going. So we're definitely going to do that. Yeah, what are the other objectives? Take a hot bath, find a beautiful feather, swim under an open sky, roll 2 kilometers without standing up. That sounds difficult but doable. And grow a pumpkin. Definitely going to be on the lookout for a pumpkin growing opportunity. Yeah, rolling is fun. Yeah, it's a very cool movement mode. Especially when, oh gee, yeah, like I guess we'll see once I get going here, but the if it functions, if it makes the physics like tribes skiing physics, that is just my absolute favorite. Like, yeah, it would change a lot of things design-wise, but I do wish No Man's Sky would add like a tribes-esque skiing mode, because you start thinking it makes the terrain meaningful in a completely new way. Like you start thinking about terrain features that you can ramp off of, and you start steering yourself in terms of like what's going to build up the biggest amount of velocity, and then yeah, it just like it, yeah. And it's honestly, it's a little different. The other game that's worth mentioning in this respect is, especially as I'm looking, this cliff face that I guess I am now at the top of, reminded me of the like far world edges in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Heck yeah. Oh yeah, we're going real good now. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Oh no, I just wanted to, oh, I think I failed to, and yeah, you can't really steer yourself as you're rolling here. So you're kind of just at the mercy of whatever little, oh, maybe I am. I mean, I'm pressing forward. So maybe I am actually able to steer myself somewhat here. No, maybe not. Maybe I really am just a marble. Just rolling along, whatever. Yeah, I'm also kind of like in a little local minimum. Am I moving? Yeah, and pressing space while I'm rolling doesn't seem to do anything. Roll 2 kilometers without standing up. That seems doable. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was just a single invocation of roll. Yeah, it seems quite difficult to do. But yeah, that did definitely give us a good... It was a good roll. Good rolling, everybody. Yeah, we got some scrub trees here and stuff. Jump in. Actually, I should just try out, like, now that it's been established that there are keys besides what's just called out on the pause screen, I should actually just... Okay, so that's roll. T-Y-U-I-O-P. F. Oh, first person. Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. You can roll in first person, and that's probably not for the easily motion sick. If this has a VR mode, that would make a very large majority of people sick, motion sick. I tried it once with a headset. It took like several minutes of rolling before I started feeling it, but Yeah, that's the extreme VR sickness test. Let's see. Yeah. So okay, that's first person. That's cool. JKL CXCVB and Gadia. Yeah, this function keys don't seem to do anything. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, it was worth trying out. All right. So yeah, F and R seem to be the special commands here. And yeah, okay, so yeah, and I can't just climb up. That's something that I'm a little used to being able to do from No Man's Sky, but also like the Elder Scrolls games and stuff, is like you can just march up like the steepest height map possible. Game doesn't care. Game just wants you to see more of the world. So yeah, see, yeah, you lose your rolling momentum very, very quickly. All it takes is like a little dip up and or flat section before you just totally run out of rolling velocity, which feels pretty accurate. You know, I mean, it feels accurate for a high mass object, which I'm assuming it has the player model does. That's something about a lot of game physics systems, is that you end up making the player like very high mass just because that keeps more physics interactions stable. You know, because if you have low mass, or if just an object that the designer cares about behaving correctly has low mass, then there's so many ways. I mean, we've all seen it. You know, it's just like all the weird ways that physics objects can behave in like a really squirrely manner. It's tough. It's tough. Tuning physics stuff well is obviously not a solved problem. Games have had physics systems for a good like 20 years now. And they have gotten better. I remember like playing a very early Unreal Engine 2 title, I think it was, that had what would it have been called? I think it was the first Ghost Recon game, and it had ragdolls, and this was like a big deal. It was like, whoa, ragdoll physics. And in my memory, the ragdolls are just absolutely comical by modern standards. Like, one of the terrorist guys would die, and then he would just become a completely unconstrained bag of human jelly, but it was considered like jaw-dropping at the time. I think Unreal's physics system in those days was called Karma, which I think was made by some third-party company that didn't last or turned into something else or got acquired, who knows. But yeah, Karma. Yeah, you would have Karma physics objects, Karma ragdolls. That was just, you know, it was just the name of the physics system. Yeah, I think games quickly learned that like the way to make humanoid ragdolls look okay was to just constrain the skeleton, you know, which the tech for that was like pretty easily within the grasp of most dev teams, where you say, okay, the arm cannot in fact just bend back ridiculously. We're going to like constrain it, you know, and then things kind of, the pendulum sort of swung back the other way, haha, pendulum physics, to like overly stiff ragdolls, you know, because they were like, okay, well, we don't want the arm, we don't want like the upper arm just clipping into the shoulder, so we're going to like constrain this a bunch. But then that means that like they generally tend to become like T-pose or A-pose mannequins, which also doesn't look good, but it looks less bad than like stuff clipping into itself a lot of times. So yeah, it was a rough, you know, yeah, games were, man, between 1995 and 2005 or so, that was 3D video games awkward puberty. There were just so many things that just didn't quite look right, you know. And there were some absolutely beautiful games that I think a lot of them, you know, kind of, I think the games that endure from that period the most are to one extent or another either embracing the limitations of the fidelity that they had or stylizing in such a way that like, yeah, because like, I mean, these are my go-to example games, so if you've heard me talk about this stuff before, you're probably rolling your eyes. But like, yeah, Rez, Jet Set Radio, and Wind Waker just still look great. They look fantastic, and it's because they stylized, and they look so much better than, I guess those games came out in like 99. Jet Set Radio Future was 2002, but yeah, 2002, 2003. You know, most other games from that era, 3D games, look bad, you know, or they just don't. They look like they're sort of trying and failing to punch above their weight as far as like high fidelity visual experiences, whereas those games stylize and simplify, and they're just classics. They just look great. Yeah, and then other games, you know, I think were like, okay, we're going to like try to be very consistent about pulling off a good, respectable level of fidelity for the graphical stuff that we do have. I guess examples there, I would say maybe like Metroid Prime. Like that game still looks pretty good to me for the most part because they like kind of used their budgets wisely. Yeah, Grim Fandango is a great example. I mean, they didn't even have, they had non-jointed, like non-deforming skeletons. It was just jointed models. But that was like a creative direction decision. You know, they were like, okay, well, these things are going to look a little bit like little action figures, and it totally worked. I mean, because they're literally skeletons. I mean, the clothes on the skeletons didn't look. I think, you know, if you were going to make Manny Calaveria walking around the screen today, he would definitely look different. But, you know, I think they made the right choices to like get into the, you know, to get a good look for that era. So I saw some smoke off in the distance here. Yeah, we're now in like kind of a reddish section of the desert here, and oh, I think I accidentally, yeah, there we go. I accidentally shut off the audio when I was just trying every key. But yeah, there was like this smoke. Like oh yeah, here we go. There we go. Oh, look at this. I think this is a bath. Heck yeah. Press E to bathe. Yes, I'm going to bathe. Oh yeah. Yeah, just a nice little Old West bathtub. Ye oldie bathtub. Just sitting out in the middle of the desert. Yeah. It's good. Yeah, and man, that's another thing I remember about Death Valley is that like being out in the sun and the hot, like it's super dry obviously, and it's hot, and you get kind of dusty, you know, if it's an area where the dust is blowing. It's either like gritty dust, so it like hurts when it's hitting you, or it's just like the fine dust that just kind of gets on you. And I remember going, there's like a little motel in the bottom of the valley there, and getting in the swimming pool there felt great because it was like several tens of degrees cooler just to be in the water, and also just like feeling like the desert sweat and dust like kind of coming off. Like that was great. So yeah, heck yeah. Oh, okay, cool. I am all right. The bath seems to have put me into an amazing Fatboy Slim weapon of choice video flying mode here. This is amazing. My velocity is incredible. Yeah, I'm just flying across the continent at ridiculous speeds like Goku or something. Yeah. All right, is this another desert bath? Okay, yeah, it's just another desert bath. If I get back into it, whoa. Oh, okay, so I can't fly into the ground per se. Yeah, and like the foliage gets like entirely sparse. So this is just like Sahara dunes, basically. It's a very different kind of feel for the desert. Swim under an open sky. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could just try flying up as far as I could. Okay, that looks like another bath that's like mostly buried in terrain. And yeah, these I'm kind of wondering if they are positioned randomly based on the world's random seed. That's how No Man's Sky, like when you run across like a little outpost where like some alien NPCs are just chilling out. Those are basically random. I mean, like everything else in that, like almost everything else in that game, those are randomly distributed across the landscape. It basically has an algorithm for like, yeah, don't place them spread out from one another mostly, but sometimes not, and like, you know, make a little bit of flat ground for some of them to rest on. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So this is like, yeah, and I'm kind of guessing that if I hit roll, then I will break out of this mode, but let's just keep going up here. Yeah, and the natural world fog, like there's a basic distance fog effect happening here, and you can tell that it's like this blue color because we're getting far enough out that everything is kind of just getting flattened into that. Oh yeah, and look at that. It's culling stuff in the far distance. This is almost like the ending of a year in Proteus. Without spoiling the specifics of what happened there. Here. Oh wow, yeah, this is cool looking. Yeah, and it's basically just the Z culling. This might even just be like the really low level like graphics API style clipping plane kind of thing. Whoop. Yeah, this is really interesting. Yeah, because that's all terrain down there. I wonder if we're going to loop around. If it's going to be like Minecraft or something where we'll just... Yeah, we definitely don't have an altimeter, but it does seem like we are... Yeah, this doesn't count as swim under an open sky. All right, I'm going to enter roll mode here and see if we start, if the terrain comes back into view. Yep, we are falling very fast. We are falling very fast. The world is coming back into view. All right, hopefully we don't splat. Poof. Oh my gosh, amazing. We bounce. We bounced incredibly far. Okay, so that's a roll 2 kilometers. That's probably just like, obviously we haven't been touching the ground doing it, but woo! Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I think the game is probably just measuring distance traveled, whether it's on the ground or not, just because that's a much easier heuristic. And yeah, now we're just under a lake. And yeah, are we swimming under an open sky now? I think we are. Hell yeah. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so yeah, there's like just a nice little lake here. Yeah. God, yeah, just like being in a hamster ball mode in No Man's Sky would be so fun to just like get up on some really tall alien mesa and just roll down and fly off of it and bounce around and stuff. That would, yeah. That one's free, guys. Okay. Yeah, this is so damn pleasant. I love it. It's great. I'm just like sitting by the side of the water here. There's desert all around. This actually reminds me a little bit of, there's a place that, so the drive to and from Death Valley from the Bay Area, we went up, we actually went northeast up past Sacramento to Lake Tahoe, which is a beautiful, like, kind of mountainous, you know, it's like in the winter, it's a big ski resort and all that kind of stuff. And then up and around, and then down into, like, Nevada, and then through, like, just some really beautiful, wide open kind of country stuff. And then you get down into, like, this, it's sort of just like, I don't know, it's like it's a very sparsely populated part of California. And there's this one place there called Mono Lake, And you can actually see it on a map of California. It's actually big because it is a big lake. It's this body of water, and it's yeah, it's quite large, and it has an interesting geologic and sort of ecological history. It's a very alkaline lake, so the water is like very harsh. Like you can dip your fingers in it. It's not the kind of lake you would want to swim in, but you dip your fingers in it, and the water actually feels kind of oily almost, and that's because it's highly alkaline. There are some creatures that live in there, but they're like specially adapted to it, and there are like these like little mineral formations that rise up out of it that look very strange. They're kind of like corals almost. And yeah, there's just wildlife. Like there's a fair number of like birds and stuff nest there or pass through on their migration routes. And there's like, there's critters around like rabbits and stuff just year round. But yeah, and even like in, I don't know, I don't think it's high altitude per se, but every time that we've been through there, which I guess was like April and May, which is like pretty pleasant in most parts of California, it was cold there. Mono Lake was cold. So yeah, it's another one of those places that just feels like a different kind of No Man's Sky planet. And yeah, I loved it. I don't know, it's just like this, basically on our drive home, we stopped in there, a couple of times, and just sort of, yeah, I think we like ate our little picnic lunch there, and they have like some nature trail type stuff where you can learn about the weird place that it is. So yeah, Mono Lake. Oh, and look at this, there's an island. I'm gonna go see what's on that island. What happens if okay, so I can roll underwater. That doesn't seem especially advantageous though. Try on a new outfit, find a beautiful feather, and grow a pumpkin. Okay. Yes, yeah, good call, Elliot. Yeah, the bristlecone pines are, yeah, they are extremely, they're like something like thousands of years old. They're like sort of are they one of those trees that's like a colony organism or something? Or are they just like super old trees? But yeah, bristlecone pines. There's another place like pretty near there that, I forget what it's called specifically, but it's like a hot spring that used to be the kind of hot spring that you could just like go and take a dip in, but then there were like some geological changes in the area where it became unsafe. And there's signs posted all around like, don't come near here. This used to be a hot spring, but do not go near it or anything anymore. Because because of the geological, like it's a geothermal site, so there are these pools of water that are connected to magma veins underground, and because of the geologic unpredictability of it, it will, like, the temperature of that water can fluctuate from like pleasant bath water to you will get cooked, like it's bad news. So yeah, but yeah, and I forget I can look it up, but yeah, where is it? Hot Creek Geological Site, and yeah, there's a sign there. We always call it Nature's Cauldron because there's a sign there that just says Nature's Cauldron and explains about it. But yeah, very cool to see. But yeah, don't mess with it. Yeah, okay, well, we're on a little island out in the middle of this lake, and that's cool. Did I come from there? I think I did. I'm gonna try to like make it to the far shore here. I realize it's kind of slow going to swim, but oh, sorry, we're clipping here. Yeah, the bristlecone pines. Just looking at the map on my phone here. Whitmore Hot Springs. Lake Crowley. And then, yeah, Lee Vining is the town that's kind of close, that's like kind of near Mono Lake. But it just feels so remote, you know, like driving down that way. You're sort of like you're between Yosemite and like Nevada, you know. So it's, yeah, it's just a really interesting place. Yeah, that's right. And then these are north of a town called Bishop. Yeah, Bishop is like an actually like, you know, decent sized town. Yeah, that's right. And there was like a bakery and like a smoked meat jerky place that we passed in Bishop that are supposedly recommended. Yeah, I think you know, I think hot springs, like if they've been certified, you know, they can monitor them geologically. So like, it's the kind of thing where, you know, if a hot spring is known to be stable, you're probably pretty safe going in it, you know. It's all kind of about like what's happening underneath it geologically and stuff. So, you know, and like the people always, you know, there's like those hot springs in Japan that are very well known and all that as like a cool place to just go and relax and stuff. So, yeah, I definitely want to onsen, I guess they're called. Really want to visit one of those someday. What is this? This is something special here. What is it? Is it like a little magical thing? It's just like a sparkly thing. Okay, so I was swimming away from those islands. Kind of just want to get to like the shore here. I think this is the right way. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of terrain underwater here. And yeah, we're really getting the Quake 1 vertex. When you go underwater in Quake 1, in the original software renderer in Quake 1, you would get this kind of like vertex jello sort of effect to suggest like the water warbling. And it was the way that that effect was done in Quake's software renderer was actually like very specific, and there wasn't an easy way to do it at all during like the early era of like fixed function 3D accelerator hardware. So it actually kind of disappeared when everybody switched to GL Quake and 3D, you know, accelerated 3D and stuff. It was actually not possible for a while. But nowadays you can just do it with a vertex shader. Like I'm pretty sure that this is just, you know, a sine wave getting fed into like the world projection matrix or something like that. Or perspective matrix or whatever. However you do that. I haven't written a shader for that effect specifically before, but definitely the kind of thing you can do nowadays and just make the whole world jiggle. Okay, so we're back on land here. I really just have no idea where we are relative to like that little island I was on and stuff, but it's a little sad when we lose or temporarily lose interesting effects like palette cycling like the Amiga did. Is still a little tricky these days. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, color cycling palettes, yeah, they still, I mean, nowadays you would have to do it with like a very specific kind of shader and author your content in a specific way. Yeah, and it also requires content that takes advantage of it, you know, like the Mark Ferrari color cycling demo stuff that is available as an app for your phone via the Living Worlds. If you search Living Worlds, and if you want to see some awesome color cycling animation, search the web for HTML5 color cycling demo, or search for Living Worlds on the Android, on Google Play or Apple App Store. But yeah, back in the day, it was like, okay, well, all graphics have a limited color palette of like 16 or 256 colors or whatever, and every pixel on the screen was referring to a color in that palette by an index. And so color cycling was just a simple matter of shifting those indices that all the colors were referring to. And the total amount of computational work required to like make colors change on screen in interesting ways was like very, very low. Like color cycling animation was essentially free as far as like computation time went. So yeah, and so games did it, and you had to like your artists had to like know how to take advantage of it. But like LucasArts, the 250, the VGA era LucasArts games did some great stuff with it. But yeah, and it's still definitely a bit of a lost art. Yeah, I've thought about how to do color cycling animation in Playski, and I think it is totally doable. But sort of thinking about what the best, like the actual tech for it would be pretty easy, because the color palette in Playski is just like a one-dimensional texture sitting in video memory, and it would be very easy to like just like poke pixels with different colors there. But it's more about like the user interface of like, okay, what's a cool way to like author stuff with this, and how, yeah. So that's the part that actually takes some real design thinking and stuff. The way that you would do it in Deluxe Paint was, you know, you had a palette viewing and editing thing in Deluxe Paint 2, for instance, and you would you could mark off different ramps, you would define different gradients, and then each of those gradients you could cycle at different speeds. And so you could have like, you know, out of 256 colors, like you could have this stripe of light blue to dark blue colors, for instance, and you would define that as a specific ramp, and then you could cycle that, and then you could draw with just those colors using some of the brush tool stuff that Deluxe Paint did. And then if you turned on color cycling mode, it would look, you know, you could get like these flowing water looking effects and stuff. And then like for an artist who actually like really works with it and knows how to use it, you could just get some really beautiful like just draw dropping effects, which again is what the Living Worlds Mark Ferrari stuff does. But yeah, nowadays, like, yeah, you could do that, but like most people's art isn't palletized, it's just true color. It's just like, here are the raw pixel colors, pixel by pixel. That's just like the fast and cheap, easy way to do it. Cool. Well, yeah, it looks like we're in kind of this more reddish part of the desert here. I want to find pumpkins. I see another bathtub off in the distance. I want to try on a new outfit, find a beautiful feather, and grow a pumpkin. I don't think I've seen a feather anywhere, but maybe, I don't know, maybe we can keep an eye out for that. Yeah, bathtubs are kind of fast travel, yeah, because we can like hop in here. Heck yeah. Yeah, I don't know if these are like little bugs or something. Maybe there are bugs flying off my body now that I'm in the bath. All these insects that had infested my body. So yeah, here we go. I just love it. I love... Ooh, this almost looks like a volcano caldera or something. Hi there, yes, this is Red Desert Render by Ian McClarty. Playing a custom build with a unique random seed. Oh, and look at this. Yeah, we're getting into like low detail, edge of the world mode. So I think in in the author's like original exploration, out of bounds explorations of Red Dead Redemption 2, you know, it makes sense that in a AAA game you would have like super high fidelity content wherever the player can go, but then off in the distance you just have like these low detail proxies essentially, you know. Oh, look at this. Yeah, what is this? Boing. Oh no. Oh dear. Oh geez. Oh, did I punch through the terrain? What's going on? I think I am a little bit under the terrain. That's not the best. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm good. It's fine. Yeah, I had let off near that little like particle system-y thing, but I don't know how to get back to it. Actually, I wonder if I follow birds. If I follow the sound of birds. Oh yeah, I hear some bugs. I hear insects buzzing. Yeah, that is good. Yeah, the tree roots are drawn in there just in case it does clip through the... Yeah, like I'm thinking if maybe if I can zero in on a source of bird sounds, then maybe I will actually find a bird, but... Yeah, the way that it's mixed, it's hard to locate the birds with the bird sounds with any precision. And it might also be just mixed in a way that's like not super directionalized intentionally. It's frequently something you do with ambient sound mixing. Oh yeah, it's getting too steep here. Ooh, yeah, and this is like a nice bluish desert situation. Hmm. Oh yeah, maybe I gotta use my my binoculars to do some birding. Pull out my little Sibley guide here and get an ID on... I don't know. I definitely don't recognize that bird's call. I'm not hardcore enough. It is nice and loud though. Could be a warbler maybe? No. Terrain is very steep around here. Should I go down to the bottom of that? Yeah, the bugs do seem to be following me around. I wonder if that's like a statement on my dirtiness. Yeah, we're in kind of a valley here. Very rough terrain. get stuck down here. Yeah, I wonder how... Oh, geez, yeah. I wonder how the procedural generation is done, if it is done such that, like, you can't get stuck in a... Yeah, geez. Or maybe you actually can just climb any distance if you just keep jumping. Just keep Quake jumping. Hoop, hoop, hoop. That does not appear... Doesn't appear to work like that. I mean, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm having limited success, I would say. Just a tiny little pool. Yeah, this is a tricky part of the terrain. So yeah, how do y'all think I grow a pumpkin or find a new outfit or a feather? Where does one go to do that? I guess it's worth noting I have not seen any kind of human-made architecture. Just doesn't seem like it's about that. Am I going to be able to get out of this valley system with... There's definitely something that you run into in this part of California is like there are frequently like these valleys, and like when you're down in one valley, you can't, like, your options for getting to the next valley over or up to the top of it can be surprisingly limited. Even though they're not like super tall mountains or anything. It's like, yeah, you're kind of down in like this little just fold in the earth sorta. And okay, cool. Yeah, we're getting a little bit more of an advantage here. Yeah, this kind of feels like the Hebra Mountains in the northwest of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like, there are just these little areas like this where there's like this mountain lake, like high up in the mountains, very far away from any kind of like civilization or anything. And you'll just like come across this lake and you'll be like, wow, okay, this is, I don't know, it's one of the coolest, like most wildernessy feeling experiences in a game that has a lot of good moments like that. And yeah, there are actually a fair amount of hot springs in that part of the Zelda world. And yeah, there's little natural mountain springs, and you can take a dip in them, and they'll replenish your health. But yeah, it's pretty tough country. You need like good winter gear, and you know you'll be like there will be like wolves and like the occasional like Lionel and some pretty tough beasts out there. You want to take some good food and the right equipment before you go explore in that area. And yeah, being able to climb well is a must in that area as well. Yeah, Breath of the Wild, that was quite a landmark game. A Lynel, I think it's Lynel. It's actually an old, like, I had forgotten, but they are actually it's an enemy that shows up like in the very first Zelda game back on the NES, but the Breath of the Wild version of it is like this. It's basically like one of the most fearsome creatures in the entire game. It's like this demon centaur kind of thing. And yeah, like they're somewhat rare in the Breath of the Wild world, but when you run across one, it's just sort of like chilling out in the field, or it's not chilling. It's standing around looking super imposing and scary, and you know, if you're not super confident that you can deal with it, you just sort of like, I mean, it's one of the great strokes of design in that game because it forces you to go around it. You're like, I can't risk walking through this thing's territory, so I'm going to go around, and that in turn pushes me into like different terrain features and into other adventures, basically. I mean, that game is just a masterclass in how to lay out a world and build game systems so that the routes that you take through the world end up having like these story kind of resonances, you know, where you think you're doing one thing and then something comes up or you get distracted or whatever. It's one of the best games I've ever played for that sort of stuff. And yeah, the world is just very, very intentionally laid out to produce that kind of stuff. Like, it is definitely a crafted world, which is why, you know, I was playing it around the time that I was getting back into No Man's Sky, which obviously, you know, like this game, is just like, it's open, it's randomly generated terrain, so there's no authorial design in this stuff other than at the level of remove implied by like generation algorithms and stuff. So I don't know, it was just sort of like this interesting study in contrasts between Breath of the Wild, which has one of the absolute best authored worlds in my opinion, and then like these like infinite expanses of completely non-authored worlds. All right, yeah. Thanks for dropping by. Have a good night, Elliot. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. This is definitely like a zone out and sort of game, as you can tell. I've been doing. It's actually pretty forested, really. But yeah, still no sign of that pumpkin. Still no sign of the feather. Oh, I see a bath. Hmm. Hmm. All right, so we've got bath flight now. What should we do with our bath flight? Go up to the top of this mountain. And yeah, I think we'll be in this mode until I hit R to roll, so. Yeah, maybe I should try to get out of bounds this way. That's another bath. Yeah, these kind of, it gets N64 pretty quickly out here. Yeah, this is nice. I like the red sand. yeah, I don't know where to find a feather either. Gosh, yeah, there's a fair amount of low detail terrain to fly over here. Are we getting like pushed up into the sky here, or what would happen if I, yeah, we're running into something here. Yeah, we're kind of bumping into the edge. All right, if I go into roll mode here, am I just going to be like screwed? Oh, I'm going to fall down. But I am, yeah, okay, I was down in the terrain, but whoa, okay, and the game has decided that there is actually foliage here. Interesting, so it's almost like it freezes out the detail, like the terrain lotting, based on the point of view when I entered this mode. Yeah, look at this. Oh yeah, look, it's lotting stuff in more. And all right, is this going to be another one of those floating boxes that, yeah, lets me go up and down? Not back where I started, am I? Boing. I keep thinking that, like, if I can get close enough to this to the source, to the point source of the bird sound, that like that will put the bird, this invisible simulated bird, into a different state, and it might fly off and leave behind a feather. But that's just pure speculation. And the audio cues of the bird call seem to be long enough that there's just not, you can't really treat it as like a timing cue or anything. kind of like a hissing sound there. Does that mark the location of a bath or something? Or yeah, like I've got you know, I've got my headphones on here, and it's tough to place. I feel like that might kind of be the point. Hmm. Starting to get tired. I might call it a day soon. Oh wait, look at that. Yeah, I think these dark lumps are just little rocks. Alright, I see some little sparkles over there. Just over that rise, so... Yeah, alright. There's a tall tree. Oh yeah, that is a tall tree. Let's check that out. I feel like I've probably seen this tree before, but maybe it's special. It's nice. Ooh, press E to investigate. You found a half-eaten carrot. Okay. Okay, alright. Well, that was a... I found a little treasure. Wasn't any of my, wasn't any of my objectives, but I like carrots. Look at how richly red this sand is. I like it. Let's roll. Yeah. It's definitely a rollout. Yeah, thank you for dropping by. Yeah, I think, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to this, maybe I'll head towards this thing off in the distance, but I think I might use that as a stopping point for the night. And yeah, I actually don't know if it saves my location in this world or if I start over from the same place every time. Yeah, I like the logic that creates these occasional trees. These end up becoming like important feeling features. Like I've seen that tree before, obviously, but you know, when there's only one every, you know, 50 meters or so, then it takes on a very different sort of meaning to the player. There's some very nice mountains off in the distance there. It's all very reddish. And the little glowing treasures seem pretty few and far between. Yeah, these bugs all flying around me am I just Pigpen from Peanuts now? All right, well, yeah, I think I am going to call it a night. Yeah, but yeah, that was Red Desert Render by Ian McClarty. And yeah, that was pretty cool. We did take a hot bath. We did find some secrets. We did not grow some pumpkins. But yeah, that's that's a reason to go back to it. So yeah, maybe I'll stream more of that again, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just enjoy it on my own. And maybe you could too. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, this was a good, chill, just spacing out, wandering around. And yeah, thank you for providing company and commentary. Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, have a good night, folks, or evening, or whatever time of day it is near y'all, and I will see y'all around. I'll see some of you on Wednesday for What Wednesday, but regardless, have a good one, and thank you for watching.